I am super excited and intrigued to watch the Big 12 play out this year. I was so happy that it wasn't a clean break, meaning OU and Texas leave at the same time that the other four come in. I wanted one messy season, and I got it where they're all mixed together, and got to see Texas and Oklahoma take on the four newcomers. And so we get a lot of that, which I'm interested in because, as you well know, we don't get enough non-conference games among national powers. So when are we ever going to see Texas and UCF, or, the various matchups that we're going to get to see this year? So that box is checked for me. And also just, what is the Oklahoma Texas send off? Do they make the Big 12 championship game and say, ha ha, we're off to the SEC? And we actually proved that we're the two best programs and the two best teams the last year we left. Or for a third consecutive year, can the Big 12 say, yeah, we know you're taking a ton of money and resources out of the conference, but at least you did make the conference championship game 3 consecutive years. So I am intrigued by the way the Big 12 plays out this year, and in coming years, how those four newcomers assimilate into the league, because they've had reasonable success against Power 5 competition, but of course didn't have to play it week after week after week after week.
Yeah, and honestly, I think Texas could be a playoff team this year. And I know people will think I'm crazy as an OU fan talking about Texas like that. I really like their team. And I really like what Sark has done in focusing on the areas that Texas has lacked for so long. Edge, linebacker, and offensive line. And I get it. A lot of people don't like how they're paying their offensive line. Listen, it's no different than Oklahoma paying their players $50,000 a year to be on the team. They just made it aware that it's offensive line. And I think the Texas Longhorns this year, they're going to take big steps. I think, you're bringing in Cedric Baxter. I think Cedric Baxter can help you get it done. Outside of the Alabama game, I feel like Texas has a pretty easy schedule. Your next hardest game would be Oklahoma and then Kansas State. And then for Oklahoma, I mean, if Oklahoma doesn't go out there and win 9 or 10 games this season, it's that's an extreme letdown, because this is one of the easiest schedules OU has had in I can't tell you how long. Their hardest game is Texas, and I don't really think there's a comp to it, because I go in there and I look at that TCU game and I'm like, well, we don't even know what TCU is going to be, because they lost so much. And then additionally, coming into that Oklahoma game, TCU has to play BYU at home, at Kansas State, at Tech, Texas at home, Baylor at home, and then come out on a short week to play in Norman against the Sooners. Not going to be an easy one for them. So Oklahoma and Texas, I expect to see in the Big 12 championship. I definitely think Texas could be a playoff team. Now, does that mean I think Texas will beat Oklahoma twice this year? I have no idea, because those games are always a toss-up. But Texas's team is talented enough. They can get there. Even, that loss with to Alabama will be considered a win. So you can pretty much just say if they beat Oklahoma, they might go undefeated, because in the committee's eyes, that Alabama's loss, that is worth a win right there. So,
especially if they play them like they did last year when they should have won the game.
Yeah.
Preston, when I hear from average Joe SEC fan, it's Oklahoma's going to come into this league and they're going to be another Kentucky or Mississippi State. When I hear from OU fan, not every one of them, a lot of them respect the level of play in the SEC, but when I hear from many of them, they think they're going to slide into 10 or 11 wins automatically. Where do you stand on that?
Yeah, we're not going to slide into 10 or 11 wins automatically. OU fans really need to reset their expectations there. This is not the Big 12. I think it really comes down to the scheduling. If OU's only having to play 8 conference games a year, then yeah, they're going to be at the top of the conference every year. If they have to play 9, well, yeah, then all of a sudden you're playing 3 annual opponents, probably plus, another 1 or 2 SEC traditional powers, right? I'm thinking the Alabamas, the LSUs, Georgias, Tennessee, Florida, teams like that. So it'll be curious to see kind of how the scheduling is going to line out, and how all of that's going to go. But I don't think Oklahoma is going to just walk into the SEC and win 10 or 11 games. Now, I do think after Nick Saban leaves, at that point it's on like Donkey Kong. So it's going to be somebody's league. And I think OU, Georgia, maybe even Tennessee, some of those teams are going to kind of vie for that top spot every single year.